Hello, hello, and welcome to episode 41 of the Top Bin 90 podcast. It is Wednesday, a day after Charlotte FC's loss against NYCFC. Halloween came early for the Crown because that was a very scary performance from that team yesterday. And to analyze all of that, I have my co-host, Mr. Bam Mauer Media. How are you today?
I'm hanging in there.
Hanging in there. And then we also have the rage tweet baiter himself, Mr. Caleb Adams. How are you, Caleb?
Man, I'm doing how Brian's doing.
Dang, gloomy day today in Charlotte and for everyone. Awesome. Well, before we get started, as you guys know, we have some exciting news. Continental Tire, one of MLS's longest tenured sponsors, who's been the official tire of Major League Soccer for 15 years and counting. They are now officially joining the Top Bin 90 family. They are headquartered in Fort Mill. We're proud of them joining the Top Bin 90 team as locals to Charlotte. It only made sense that they be our presenting sponsors for the next few episodes. We're really excited to be working with them, and so now let's get into a little bit about what happened this past match with Charlotte FC. And so, I mean, there's really, my guys, where do we start? What went wrong, Brian?
I think just how slow they came out of the gate, how toothless the attack was in the first half, especially just how few solutions. I mean, I feel like almost everything that could have gone wrong, especially in that first half, did. And I think that it was just, for me, that was the goal that they gave up really was the centerpiece that just like set it all off for me. It was like, man, just having that kind of moment, especially from veteran players, where they just shut off like that, completely unacceptable in a playoff match, especially at home. And so I think from that moment, it was just like, it didn't ever really seem like they had a way to flip the switch and kick into gear. That was something we had talked about when last time Kid was on the show, when we were talking about Zaha missing time, was like, if they go down 1-0, how do they get back into a game? And they don't have, I mean, it looks like obviously Pep Biel's a plan A. If there's no Biel, Wilfred Zaha's a solid plan B. But after that, it seems like they just don't have any other going to go about and get the job done. That's what it looked like to me.
Caleb, I mean, we spoke about it. I mean, this team worked so hard to finish in fourth place, to have home field advantage, you know. It seems like some of the deck of cards were on Charlotte's favor, and they didn't pull anything out this game.
Yeah, I mean, when I tweeted out just about how we started out timid, and I think that set the tone for the rest of the match. I kind of wanted to compare it to Sharks when they smell blood in the water. It seemed that early on, New York City, they put in some hits, put in some challenges, dispossessed Gianni, and they were kind of smelling blood in the water. Like, hold up. Like, these guys are the home team, but we're sensing a bit of weakness here, and they just attacked us. I do agree with Dean's take about post game. He said that this wasn't a tactical loss. It was just very much, I think he said technical loss and then handling pressure. Yeah. Those are the two main factors he pointed out. And for me, it very much was that. Yeah. This was always going to be a game that was going to require us to scrap a goal and kind of hold out without Zaha. That's the reality. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality. With the talent that we have, I would love to say, like, man, Vargas, Toclomati, and Abada should be able to, score, 2 goals, be dynamic in the attack. But frankly, that's kind of what I expected from the attack. But what I didn't expect is for the team to come out like a bunch of wussies. Yeah. I mean, that's the reality.
Timid, yeah.
I mean, like, you're at home, and I think that goal, and Dean said this too. He says that goal pretty much reflected the entire first half, which was these two center backs and the midfielders before them and Toffolo just kind of were very passive, scared to sort of engage on Martinez to stop him. Everyone just kind of like, you got him. I don't got, you got him. And very passive. So that, for me, was a direct reflection of the whole performance as a whole. I mean, So
Yeah, they made him seem like a prime Messi, Alonso Martinez.
that's my boy too. He's
He's from
Tico.
Costa Rica,
He's
yeah.
my boy too, but he not like that. Trust me.
Now, speaking of Dean, let's hear. I know you touched on it. Let's hear a little bit about what he had to say post-match.
It was a very poor goal to concede, but it probably summed up the first half performance. I just felt we didn't quite handle the pressure of being the home team in a playoff game. It's the first time we've done it, and I didn't think we handled it well enough. And we stood off the player and he skipped through and scored the goal. So yeah, it was really disappointing.
You play all season for home field advantage, and then it comes down to Saturday in New York. I mean, how do you make sense of that?
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. I mean, by the way, MLS, thanks very much for the Tuesday night game. That was very nice of them. So that was a bit disappointing to be on a Tuesday night. Weather wasn't great. No games on Saturday. But we have to go back to New York now and get a result there, which is not beyond us by any means, because that was a game of two halves, and you saw in the second half what we can actually do.
All right. Let's dissect what Dean had to say, I think, in two different parts. Caleb, you mentioned it well. I think he's right about the team folding under pressure, right? And that's really frustrating to me because you worked so hard to get here. To have just a goose egg of a game, to not be concentrated. Like, it felt like there was those small moments that you need to be locked in. This team wasn't locked in. Brian, dissect that first part of what Dean said.
I think, and that's what slightly concerns me overall, is just the fact that, because you can still have the passion, the fight, the willingness to really push for a result with or without Zaha. That doesn't necessarily require Zaha to be there. Now, he can obviously help give you a little bit of juice because his presence on the pitch will provide that. And if you're not performing, he'll yell at you, right? Those kind of things will be there. But at the same time, this team should be able to fight for a result with or without him. That's sort of the expectation. And the losing in that way, I think there's two ways you can lose a game. You either get beat by a team that's just completely outperforming you and outplaying you, or you get beat by yourself. And I think that's just what this was. It was just a situation where you beat yourself, essentially, and allowed this team to come in and kind of take home field advantage away from you.
Yeah. Caleb, you've already touched on this, and then we have too. Now let's talk a little bit about the comments of, by the way, MLS, thank you for making us play on a Tuesday night. Now, you and I are kind of on the same wavelength on where we think he's going with this. Brian, give us your thoughts first, about what you think. Are you feeling what we're feeling?
I mean, I think he complains a lot about this kind of stuff. I mean, there's times, and I've heard this a lot from fans when I make this take, but maybe and sometimes he's protecting the players, this and that. But I also think there's an aspect of it where, it happens so repeatedly, and it doesn't just happen from Dean, right? I hear it from Ashley. I hear it from there's multiple times where they'll bring this kind of stuff up where it's refs 1 week, this or that, and it's at some point, even if it's about protecting, if you're doing it to protect the players, whatever the case may be, sometimes the players are got to be grown men and not need protecting as well. The situation, especially in this case, when it's a do or die, maybe show the fans some of that passion, some of that heat, and show that the players are going to get that and feel that too, because a lot of people showed up on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
On a Tuesday. All the complaining about it not being on a weekend match, people were there screaming, chanting, brought a tifo. All that stuff happened, and they showed up like that. I think at some point that should be more of the highlight. Instead of blaming the MLS for scheduling on Tuesdays, hey, where was the team showing up on a Tuesday? And I think that passion would relate better with the fans. Saying, hey, we didn't show up for them when they showed up for us on a Tuesday. Yeah. I think that is the message that maybe could have reverberated. I think that reverberates with the players too. Yeah, it does. I don't think you always need to protect the players. I think at some point they're grown men.
Yeah, I agree with a portion of what you're saying in terms of Dean does I feel like he overdoes it with the referees, with complaining about certain things. But I feel like in this specific scenario, the way he inserted that to me is where I'm okay, this is the quote, this is the thing that people are going to highlight, right? And to me, that's like, okay, you're taking the focus away from what actually happened in the game to putting the pressure on you and getting the criticism on you and not the actual players, which might be a way of for him to, I don't know, make sure that these guys are locked in for game 2. Just because to me, it's the manner of which it came out in, which makes me kind of think of that way, because it's such an easy thing to like, to me, it just doesn't make sense. Like, you've gained all this credibility with, the fan base, with the people around you, because you finished top 4 this season, like it's something, you're exposing yourself to like very harsh criticism without like a strong like basis for it. And so that's kind of my take. Caleb?
No, I think Dean is a very calculated guy in media. I don't think the things he says in public, he's saying all that with the players behind the scenes. I do think the messaging from him is like behind the scenes is, this wasn't good enough and we need to step it up. I will protect you. I will take the heat. I will deflect some attention, but you guys need to step up next game. Like, I think that's his approach behind the scenes. And so I think it's a mix of both. I do think that Dean is an avid complainer and a habitual complainer. And like, to be fair, they're valid a lot of times. But I don't like making them the focus.
Yes.
That's my problem.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of putting it. They're valid, like I would say 85% of the time, but they turn into the focus, which is what's the true issue, And so, because the reality is, a lot of people get bad calls. MLS,
same reps. Every single team gets the same reps.
Yeah,
they're all the same. We all get the same reps.
Yes, and so okay, yeah, and so I mean. He had those comments. I thought it was interesting. Obviously, you're like, okay, this is the clip that's going to go around everywhere, and like he's going to get a lot of criticism for it.
And we didn't even get into the Freese one either, when he's like complaining about Freese like
Yeah.
holding the ball.
Yeah.
That also came up later. Like, oh, they're not. He let Freese manage the game. Like, that was the diff. Like, come on, man. That performance was not good. Freese had nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
Bro, make Freese manage some shots. How about that? Put some shots on target. Force him to manage some shots.
For sure.
How about that?
Make him really manage the game.
Yeah. Speaking of shots and not taking them, let's talk about, Liel Abada, obviously he came in, right, as the clear replacement for Wilfred Zaha, right? And we talked about this in our preview where, this was the game for Liel Abada to step up.
Yeah.
Right. You're a DP who got benched by Kerwin Vargas, who's having a phenomenal season, right? You were bought for a lot of money. This was your opportunity to kind of show people like, okay, like Liel Abada is here. He can make an impact in this team. And, he was non-existent this match. And I'll start off with you, Caleb. Give me your thoughts on Liel Abada's game and overall.
I mean, I think he really sealed sort of not just his fate with the club, but with the perception of the fan base. I think a lot of the fan base was like, this is your last chance to kind of show us something. Like, this is it. Like, this is the biggest stage. You're getting a chance to start right at the gate, not substitute minutes. I felt that way. I know a lot of other fans felt that way about Abada. And I'm someone that has defended Abada despite a lot of people, like Jorge, being very, anti-Abada for a while now. So I defended him at times. And, because there were glimpses there, but he really, really struggled. Like, it was pathetic may be a strong word, but it might be really fitting for this. I don't want to throw that word, like, loosely. But it was a really elementary showing from him. He could not handle the pressure of New York defenders. His decision making was not quick enough in moments. And then just there were moments where remember he tried to take that one shot and try to beat some people, and it was just all so slow, and he did not look like he was up to speed.
Yeah,
and maybe that's a factor of not playing that much. But I unfortunately think he's just not built for the league. Abada could be a good player in another league, but I don't think he cuts it in this league.
Yeah, there was one moment where Charlotte was springing a counter attempt. It was in the first half, and they launched Liel Abada around midfield. He gets the ball and makes a turn, and he just you can just tell like the wheels are turning and just nothing is happening, and it's just like his feet are moving a lot, but like the ball, he gets the ball taken right off of him, and he just doesn't see where to go with the ball, what's next to help progress play forward. And that was just kind of, for me, the spell of the half. Every time he was on the ball, dispossessed quickly. Even when he had space and time, he just really wasn't thinking fast enough to make the next play or make a next move or make anything dangerous happen. And I think, God, I mean, to be a club record signing, you just have to look like the most dangerous guy on the field at all times, and you just can't look like the guy that they're not even really factoring in. It didn't. I mean, at one point, I mean, they had to almost. It seemed like they were kind of weighted towards Vargas' side because he was at least bringing passion and energy at times, and he was, trying to contribute, especially in the second half when they came out a little bit stronger. But there was just nothing on his side of the field, and I just think, and even though when they rotated him back and forth, tried him on the right, tried him on the left, seemed like honestly Vargas was kind of catering to try to help make something happen for him, and just.
Well, that was how we conceded the goal. It was about losing the ball initially.
Yeah,
it was on a counterattack.
Yep.
He gets this. All the guys are sprinting forward because like, hey, the break is on.
Yep.
And Abada gets caught out, loses the ball. Our guys are out of position.
Yeah.
Don't recover quick enough, and of course you saw the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, I think what Abada's issue is when his route one, his whole career, it seems like has been, let me just use my pace to beat my defender, get past him, and do something. When you come to MLS, and that fullback is just as fast as you and stronger, everyone's an athlete in MLS. Even the guys who you think are slow and unathletic, even they are athletes in this league. And Abada, I think it's the first time where he's really been matched with his pace, and he can't really rely on that. Like, you have to be smart. You can't just try and, push it past someone and run past. That doesn't work in MLS. You're just going to get bodied.
Yep. And also, this is your second season in MLS, right? To me, like, that's why, like, a lot of the complaints about Wilfred Zaha when he wasn't in his best form when he started off, I'm like, okay, like, when I analyze every player that we bring on, especially, like, bigger contracts, I'm like, okay, there's some time to adjust. There's, like, understanding the league, no matter your name. Like, there's certain exceptions. Messi's an exception. There's those premier type A players. Your son will come in and just blow it out of the park. But there's other players that you wait, you give them time, and you judge them. I always say this: I judge them by the amount of money they're on, right, and the impact that they're supposed to have on this roster. And we're in season 2 now, and we're asking you to have a big game when it's important, and you're not doing that. And that's where I'm like, okay, like, he kind of sentenced his time here at Charlotte FC where, you weren't impactful this season. You have your opportunity to be impactful now, and you didn't do it. You were the first one subbed off of that front three. That's a big problem when you're a DP, so.
Yeah, and he hasn't scored a league goal since, like, May 28th.
It's crazy.
It's been forever. So, I don't know how he's possibly a part of this roster come 2026.
Yep. I mean, there's not much more we can say about Abada outside of, he just didn't perform to the level he needed to. Speaking of that, performing to the level that you needed to, what did you guys make of, our midfielders' performance? Obviously, like, Diani stood out to me just because, Brian said he was going to have an amazing game, and he didn't. No, but it felt like it was flat.
Yeah.
No, I can start this one because I think I'm a Gianni fan overall. I think he's a good signing. He's on not that much money. He's in his prime. He has a profile that is good to have. Yep. As a starter, though, as someone who's sort of at this point being a key figure in the starting 11, he still doesn't have that consistency to be there. There's a reason why he's not on crazy money. There's a reason why Westwood is on $800,000 and Gianni's on $300,000. It's the consistency part of it. And I thought Gianni was a huge disappointment for me. When Gianni's on, he is a brick wall. Like, the stats don't lie. Interceptions, tackles, he's a machine for those when he's on. But when he's off, it looks like it's the first time he's kicking the ball. Like, and that's the Gianni that's the version of Gianni that we got yesterday. Was that yesterday? Yeah. So it was really disappointing from Gianni. And then on top of that, even Bronico, I think, had a tough game.
Yeah, he did.
I thought Bronico had a tough game, both also being dispossessed. Ashley, it's even tough to gauge his performance because he was kind of isolated at times, didn't really get too many touches on the ball, and he really thrives when he can get on the ball and start those counters. If anything was coming, like it was those one-time hits that Westwood passed.
Yep.
Like we had a few of those opportunities. Like in the second half, that's what we were doing. It was just pass it to Westwood. Vargas is triggering a run, and you one-time it to Vargas over the top, and I was getting something, but we were completely bypassed too. Like they just walked through our midfield all game. Like, it was bizarre to me. I would see them literally walking past our midfield. How easily, one touch, one little move, they would get past Gianni, get past Bronico, get past Westwood. And so our back four was in 1v1 situations a lot more than they would like.
Yeah, it felt like everybody that we bigged up last show, like, kind of disappointed. Because even in the goal, I'm like, bro, like, how, like, you have experience back line. And nobody, like, we just said it, like, Alonso looked like a prime Messi out there, And so there were just, like, mistakes that were made often in this match that the feeling I had through that whole time was frustration. One, because it looked like the team lacked ideas too, and we never had real clear cut chances. Maybe in the first half when Toklo stole that ball and got that chance on Bronico, but then other than that, I'm like, there was a shot from Vargas, I think one from Toclomati, but nothing really that was like, getting you excited.
Yeah, definitely not. And I think that was one of the reasons I highlighted Gianni and Malanda last week. Was like, hey, in the Orlando series last year, I feel like both Malanda and Gianni struggled at times. My question was, what did they learn from that experience, and how do they adapt to year two, getting that next shot at it? Yeah. And I feel like that's also one of my concerns of just how this playoff performance was like, hey, guys who had the experience last year to kind of get that moment to kind of figure things out, how did they learn from it? I don't feel like that learning, we didn't see that on the field at all. And I think that, for me, is the big concern, is like Gianni didn't seem to receive, like, just learn from that experience of that mistake and get fired up to kind of have a strong performance and show that he's built for that moment. And then I think even Malanda in that defensive effort, I mean, to lose track and lose focus in that moment is, pivotal error. And I think those are kind of the moments, like, can this group learn from those mistakes and find the wins after the fact? And I don't know if we can say that. Yep.
Overall, sad performance.
Really nothing good. No positive.
Yeah, I like the energy that Vargas kind of had. You know?
Vargas was the only bright spot. Really.
Even Brandon Cambridge had a little bit of a spark. Yeah. And so, but to me, I'm like, that also shows you the lack of depth too. When you have to have Tiger Smalls and Brandon Cambridge come in and try to change the game. I mean, they're young players that are still not like there to compete 90 minutes or spot just yet. And so. I'm like, what are we actually expecting from them, right? There was no true game changer on our bench, and that's a big issue.
Yeah, I think that was, I mean, if we look back at this season after the fact, depending on how the rest of the playoff run goes, that summer window where a bunch of other teams kind of reloaded, especially in the Eastern Conference, if you look like Brenner at Cincinnati, Son at LAFC out west, right? Some of these teams really kind of reloaded and rebuilt and added some. Even Chicago Fire added a few pieces. Chicago Fire have a lot of depth that people aren't really talking about. They have options across all three lines right now that have experience and have goals in them. And so I think for Charlotte, what the big move was getting Toffolo just to kind of just get a left back on the roster, and then call up Bai Koulibaly, and so they just really didn't fill anything on the roster. Yeah, and I think that
Archie came in. He was, but
you still, I wouldn't ever. I mean, if we're gonna talk about Zaha and Abada needing time to adapt, I mean, what are we talking about?
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm not really putting any blame on anyone that came on. No. It's more like New York. Yeah. Hannes Wolf was their first sub.
Yeah.
And so
16 goal contribution. So, and he came in as a sub. So, yeah, it's the depth, the options aren't available, and we highlighted this as well on the last show, but it really, I feel like, showed itself in this match after they couldn't find a goal. Now 1-0, it's the 65th minute. You got to take Abada off because he's not performing well, but then where do you go from here?
Yeah.
And I think even with Zaha on the roster, if this game in New York is even and you're in the 60th minute, 70th minute, and Zaha just needs a little bit of support to try to get this team over the edge, where does he go from there? And I just don't think there's an answer on this roster right now.
No, not at all.
Yeah, because even I feel like Tokolomati has been a little bit off of his game too recently. You know, he obviously
Even he was the only one really also creating anything.
Yeah.
Like at those like the last moments of the game, we went to the 4-4-2. It was him dropping back, just trying to make something happen, and things were moving. And it's like, man, I mean, you're demanding your 21-year-old to be the guy in that moment, like that. Another 21-year-old, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Archie
Yeah.
21, right? I mean, the average age of that front four was like probably 21, 22.
Well, we talked about that too, where like, you know, like, okay, like, you know, there was questions around, like, I'm not blaming them signing Archie, but like, if you bring in an experienced, you know, striker, maybe 32, 33, who's been there and done that, could he have sniffed out a goal for us at the end, you know? And so, like, that experience was lacking when you see that with all the subs.
Yep.
You know? And so, all right, let's move on to talking about somebody who will be back, you know. Wilfred Zaha, that's a positive looking into New York, right? Like, he'll be back, you know. Harry Toffolo mentioned to us yesterday in the press conference that, you know, Wilfred Zaha came into the locker room, spoke with the players, and he said he's ready to go. And so how much of an impact can Wilfred Zaha make this next match? And I'll start off with you, Brian.
I mean, I think he needs to make a huge impact. I mean, he played a role in the toothlessness of this game by not being available, right? By his actions in decision day game, in a bad decision, like Dean Smith called it, the red mist coming down in the 90th minute, right? Obviously, the players need to take responsibility who are on the field, but at the same time, if you're going to be the leader of this group who takes responsibility for pushing these guys and raising their level by being willing to get in their face and tell them that they can, you know, be more, be better. If you're going to do all those things, but then let the team down in that moment on decision day to where you can't be available for the first playoff game, golly, I mean, getting in the locker room and telling him he's ready for Saturday is the least he can do, right? He has to show up. I mean, for real. I mean, if you're going to be the DP and talk all this stuff about passion, not being a box, all that stuff, like, I mean, performance of his life on Saturday, really, the best performance we need to see from him. He's got to be lights out.
We are on the same page. Caleb?
No, yeah, I mean, I tweeted it out. Zaha better have the game of his life in game 2. I think a lot of the fan base feels like he owes us something at this point, right? Like, Zaha's never come out publicly apologize for that. I think that would have gone a long way in just perception of him. I think if Zaha came out after the game was like, I messed up bad, and I won't be that first game, but you know, I'll do whatever it takes the second game.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that would have done a huge for just our the perception of him and the view of him. Not that it changes much from the result, but just from the PR perspective. But the fact that he didn't come out publicly and say anything and post a picture in his suite and stuff, it's not a great look. So, like, it's not a great look. And I for one am confident that Zaha will have a big game. Yeah. I think Zaha's the type of player that it's the kind of moments where I think someone like him can really strive. And we talk about not being able to handle the pressure. Zaha can handle the pressure, I feel. I think he's shown us this season he can handle the pressure. But it's gonna be huge to have him. I think also a big part of our game, you know, I think something that doesn't get talked about with Zaha is just how much of a focal point he is to other teams, man. Yeah. Like, people game plan around him. Like, New York City are going to have a new game plan coming up in this game for Zaha alone. And the attention he brings, the pressure he brings. Our guys, you know, Gianni may not be able to handle that pressure, but guess who's on Gianni's side? It's Zaha. They play on the same side. A lot of that heat, a lot of the pressure that Gianni gets under, like being on the ball there, Zaha can not only be an outlet both like physically, literally, but also an outlet just for the pressure-wise for the whole team. So I think it's huge. Both from a mental aspect and the actual just ability aspect.
Yeah, phenomenal. I mean, we talked about that when we signed him, right? Like, one of the things that we were missing was that, you know, that marquee player that can truly make a difference, right? And that's what Wilfred Zaha is, and that's what we're expecting of him in game 2. Show us why you're the difference maker. Show us why you're the player that we're depending on, right? And so that, and to what Caleb said, is a good point too. And I think Wilfred Zaha now has a better understanding of his teammates, which is so key, and he's talked about it before. He knows when to play a through ball to Brent. He knows the movements that, Kerwin Vargas is doing, Idan Toklamati. Yeah. Right, and like they play at a different level, the game, right? Especially him and Idan, they understand themselves at that level, right? And so Wilfred Zaha, like, forced that game 3, right? I don't care if it comes through you getting a penalty. I don't care if it takes a moment of brilliance from you, but you are the one player in this roster that can do it. So show us this Saturday, right? Force a game 3 here back at the bank. And whatever happened in him missing in Charlotte is forgiven pretty much. Yeah. Because if we don't go through, right, a big portion of the criticism is going to come to him, and rightfully so, because we were depending on you in the playoffs. In the playoffs is when we need our talisman players, and we're missing him in the first match.
And that's just, even magnified further when we don't have Pep. Like how Pep's been. When Pep's hurt, it's like, bro, as soon as Pep got hurt, this became Zaha's team. Like it was Pep's team up to that point.
Yeah, you're right.
It became Zaha's team, and with that comes an extra bit of responsibility, an extra bit of attention on you. Like, man, we don't have Pep to rely on anymore. Like if Zaha goes out and we have Pep, hey, at least we got somebody that can create something. We got a catalyst, but with Pep being out, announcing it, and then you go out on a red, it's like, bro, like you are the guy, the last guy left here, in terms of the main guys. We have 2. It was Pep and Zaha in the attack, and so it just further magnifies that issue.
Yeah, in MLS with great talent comes great responsibility, so.
That's true. And I'll add this too, like, I think people always complain, like, man, we're toothless in the attack without Zaha and Biel and these types of players, but that's MLS, guys. Yeah. Like, that is the nature of MLS. Because of the salary cap, you're spending a ton of your money on very key guys, and the backup dudes behind them are making a fraction of that money. Yeah. Like that, unfortunately, because of the roster rules, that is a reality. Like, DPs make or break your attacks in MLS, period. Yep. And when you don't have them, every single team is inferior.
Yeah, especially during playoffs.
Especially during playoffs.
Yep. Awesome. Tactically, and you spoke a little bit about this, Caleb, what would you change looking into this game? What are you looking from Charlotte FC that you didn't see here in Charlotte? What are you looking in New York?
I mean, I don't know how much you're changing tactically. You want to go back to just getting Zaha in there and seeing if the chemistry can build from there, and just make sure. I mean, the result of this game, like we've talked about now multiple times, Caleb brought it up from Dean's presser. I mean, it wasn't a tactical issue. It was just not being ready for the moment issue. You just got to be ready for the moment. Before we make any tactical adjustments, like, can they just be ready for the moment, connect some passes, kind of get the flow of the game, right?
The basics right.
Right, exactly. Just get the basics down. The first few minutes when you're possessing the ball, just do simple, smart things. Just build some momentum, and then when you're out of possession, just be more aggressive. I would say it really comes down to simple messaging for me. It's like, can you just nail down those kind of things, keep a flow, and get into the flow of the game, and keep it 0-0 for a while, and then figure out where your spot is to kind of take advantage and get a goal. And, I mean, you've got to find – I mean, I don't think you have to come out super fast, but you can't be sloppy, and you just can't come out like lazy like they were in this last game. You got to be ready for the moment and show that to yourselves by just flowing with the game, connecting the ball, making some nice progressive passes. Get Wilfred Zaha, I would say, on the ball right away. Just get him right into the flow of the game and maybe make a tricky play, things like that. I mean, I don't think it has to be a huge tactical adjustment because it worked literally before this game, and then it wasn't a tactical issue. That wasn't the problem. It was these guys weren't ready for the moment.
Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, tactically, we need to keep doing what we got 11 wins out of 13. Yeah. Like nothing needs to change. Yeah. Like it's all like we don't need to blow up the system. We don't need to start playing 4-4-2 to start the game. The big thing for me is, and people say that field over at Yankee Stadium is not an advantage, but I feel like we actually are better like we should on paper. We are a team that is designed for a pitch like that. Like New York's a team that wants to possess. We're the team that likes to smash and grab. We're the team that likes to stay tight, vertical, hit him in the counters. Like in theory, for our style of play, this field should be an advantage. It should be. We're also a taller and stronger team. It didn't feel that way yesterday. But if you look at the height differences between the players on New York and our players across the board, we are a bigger, stronger, and faster team than they are, period.
I thought half the squad was Guatemalan in New York.
I didn't want to go into stereotypes, but since you brought it up. Anyways, but all this talk about the stadium being too small, I'm like, man, this should be an advantage to us. Like we are a team that is compact, that counters, that looks to hit people in the attack. To be physical, a smaller pitch is an advantage for that. New York's the one that has a bunch of midgets passing the ball around. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's the reality. You have Maxi Morales also. I mean, you have to take advantage of that.
Right.
You have to take advantage of someone like him. He's 5'4", and across the board, we have a size. We have a physicality advantage than these guys to take advantage of it. And how do you do that? Put an early hit in. Like a strong start's key.
Yeah.
Set the tone.
Nice. I absolutely agree with what you guys are saying. Really not a lot of tactical changes. I would also add that like a rising tide raises all ships. And, if Zaha's there and he's ready and players see what he can do, our players get better when our best player on the pitch is playing at a different level as well. So I think that's going to be important too. And so with that said, let's hope, that like I really, them forcing a game 3 after New York gives us the advantage back here in Charlotte. And what I would say about this team that's kind of the silver lining for me, it feels like when they have the advantage, they kind of like figure out a way to blow it up. But when they go into a game or when there's been moments in this season where you're kind of not expecting them to kind of pull it out, they actually do. They went through a terrible run in May. Then they went 9 wins on the bounce and were in that top 4 race. Then they lose at home to Montreal, right? And then like it gets tough and you're like, okay, top 4 is kind of out of the question. Yeah. And they pull it out. And so that's the silver lining. I see that like there's a version of this squad in this Charlotte FC team that when their backs are against the wall, they figure something out and make things happen. And that's what I'm hoping to see this Saturday in New York.
Yeah, just show yourself that you belong here. That's what I think it comes down to. It doesn't matter, there could be an advantage, disadvantage for the size of the field. The fact that they put their backs up against the wall by losing at home, it all just doesn't matter. Wipe the slate clean, show yourself that you belong here, and just get the job done.
It's a really different vibe from last season when we got that win at home and against Orlando. I didn't go thinking like if we force a game 3, we win this. I didn't feel that way. I don't know about the fans or anyone else, but Orlando, how we played against them in Orlando over the course of the season, the performance at home. I never once thought like, man, if we can get that game 3, we're winning this series. I never felt that way. This series, I very much feel like, man, if we can bounce back against New York City at Yankee Field, get a win there and force a game 3, I feel really confident about our chances.
I think it's similar to last year in a way where the team went from bad to improving to the best version that we saw in that that playoff series, because they looked terrible that first game in Orlando, right?
Yeah.
In Charlotte, it was okay. We won in penalties, but then in Orlando again, there was a good stints of that game where like we were playing well, and we went up 1-0, right? If it wasn't for that penalty, we would have went through. So I think we can see that same kind of progression here where if they play better this second game and force a game 3, they can be in that moment again where like, okay, we lost at home game 1. Yeah. Game 3, there's no way we're letting this go. So I can kind of see the same trajectory here, right? But it starts again. This time you have to go to New York and do it, not at home and do it. Yep. And so anything else you guys want to add in terms of going into this game before we move to a different subject?
Just have a strong start. I think that's so
Yeah.
key. Just have a good start. Like set that tone early. That's gonna be massive.
Awesome. All right, I do want to touch a little bit on the David Alaba rumors, and so big player, Real Madrid player, right? I think someone was calling it the Alaba Derby. Shout out to Hernan from We Are Austin TV. He made me
funny, bro.
crack up with that, and so obviously a player of that magnitude, what would you make of signing a player? Let's start there. Let's be positive. What would it be signing an Alaba to Charlotte FC?
Well, I mean, he's a big-time star from a big-time club. So I think
Mid-club.
I would also say, moves like this are going to start happening more and more in MLS because, I mean, the top teams in MLS are starting to add bigger names or just more money to their defensive midfield, their back lines, and their goalkeepers. And when that brings success, more teams are going to do it. Cincinnati did that with Obina Wobodo. Columbus, Darlington Nagbe, Nashville, Walker Zimmerman, right? So there's more money and more resources going to the back line and defensive mid. And if it brings results, more teams are going to do it. So it's not outside of the equation that Charlotte or other teams are going to start bringing in more DP level players to their back line. I think that's the natural progression of this league. Whether or not this is the right candidate for it or the right time, I think is a valid question as well.
Nice. Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel too great about having a 33-year-old and a 38-year-old at center back.
It's a good point.
If this is a move, is this a move to transition Reem out? That makes sense because I think Reem's on like a 2-year deal, maybe with an option for a third.
Yeah.
So I think his contract might be ending at the end of next season. I think. I'm not sure, but if it's that kind of move to phase out Reem, that makes sense. Okay. But it puts us in a tight spot financially, doing that kind of move. But it'd be really cool. It makes sense with the Austrian connection. Fuchs, I'm sure, had
I was
conversations.
just about to go in that. Yeah.
That's great. But yeah, I mean, again, for me, it's a great individual move, but how does that affect the team building as a whole?
Yeah.
What we're paying in MLS, when you're paying someone money, you're taking money away from other people or other positions. Like it isn't like, we do what you want. Like it is taken away from something else. What is the other thing that's taken away from? That's what concerns me.
And I'm like, I mean, he's making a pretty good penny right now in Madrid, right? I mean, like you do have examples in the league of like the Rodrigo de Pauls and Gareth Bale who've come in here for like less money, whatever that means, whatever other deals they're doing,
Yeah.
But I agree with you. And at the same time, it's a player that has like injury prone.
Yeah.
We play on turf, I think from a perspective of, getting more respect around the world and like seeing Charlotte like, oh, they've got Zaha, they've got David Alaba, that helps. But in the makeup of the squad, that's where I have my key concerns of something like this happening.
Yeah, and I feel like when it comes to like structuring your roster and the DP moves, you have other DP moves they have to kind of work out first as well before. Like I feel like if you have a position where Charlotte's in and they have 2 DPs in their attack, say it's Zaha and BL and Tokomati and Vargas stay, and that front 4 seems locked in and solid. Then you have flexibility at that point to be like, okay, well, maybe we can get a little bit more creative with how that third DP spot is used. Do we want to bolster the defensive mid? Do we want to bolster the center back position? We have the luxury to do so now because everything else is clicking, and we have these cheat code players like Tokomati and Vargas who are getting on better contracts, and they're performing we're getting a high ROI return. But I just don't think where the roster is at right now, you can make that determination now. I think after you kind of figure out how you handle Wilfred Zaha's situation specifically, Pep Biel's situation we now know is locked in. But what happens with Zaha? Because it sounds like that situation is going to be. I mean, as he gets to the end of his loan deal, that situation becomes complicated. You got to work through that, and so I think you have to structure those aspects of your roster first before you make. Alaba is like a luxury buy.
Yeah, it is.
It might be one of those things too where like, hey, they had a conversation and it just from the optics it looks good that like
we're
we're
Alaba
getting
just trying to get better deals.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, like I am like I don't like young DPs. I've always been super anti young DP. I've also not like bringing in older European guys. Like I believe so strong.
That's why you hated on Ashley Westwood early in the season. That makes sense now.
Anyways, we ain't got time to go into that. Okay,
By the way,
you and I-
also
you-
last
you
thing,
and I are gonna have to go.
last thing, we had a 10-minute argument for no reason because the
did, no?
next day we found out
Z needs to drop the details before at the pod.
for real.
But for me, I am a strong believer of picking guys 25 to 28 in leagues right outside the top 5 leagues. Like Pep Biel for me is a sweet spot.
Yep.
Like get a 27-year-old in the Portuguese league. You know, even like center back, goalkeeper, and fullbacks, you can get that in the college system. You can get that in Americans. Like that's not a place I want to be using international slots or big money on.
Yeah, those Argentinian cams have done wonders for the MLS as well, you know. And so from
Every team needs an Uruguayan.
yeah.
If you know what that reference,
if you know, you know.
If you know that reference, you're an OG Charlotte fan.
And we haven't even speak of Andrew Privet much either. Like he's still on this roster as well. So the fact that by bringing in an Alaba, that kind of really cancels out him getting another look. And I think that's another guy. Like I mentioned, Toklamati and Vargas as potential cheat codes in 2026. Privet is another option that is a cheat code in 2026, where you really gives you a lot more flexibility to fill out the rest of your roster around him.
Right, and then shameless plug. I did an interview with Dean Smith, and he talked about that. He's like, Privet has proven in the past that he can start for this team. So it's like some money that they have, and so I think in our poll, the biggest question people are asking is that Malanda replacement. And so just seeing a link with a player like that right now is attractive. It looks sexy to the crowd, you know. And so
if Privet doesn't get a chance in 2026, like out of the gate, if they were to sign a guy, I feel like he would be pushing for a move, because I think he's viewed in this league now as a starting caliber center back.
That's a good
and
point.
so I would imagine if he doesn't get another honest look and they bring in another guy on $1 million deal where he's pretty much locked in as a starter, I'd imagine Andrew Privet and his agent are probably pushing for a move.
I think Privet has to get a shot.
Yeah.
Give him a shot first.
Yeah.
Run it for the first half of the year.
Yep.
He earned that.
Yeah.
He's earned that.
nice, awesome. All right, let's move on to the 2025 MLS player salaries. They were updated, and so I don't know how well you can see this graphic. But Caleb, you had a really good tweet today about some of these. Talk to me about what stood out to you about the salary guide.
Yeah. The very first thing that I put there was just how much investment we have in players over 30 years old. Like we have a ton of money in guys like that. Like a guy like Toffolo's making one over $1 million. Ream is making $1.1 million. Westwood 783. For those that don't know, the individual salary cap before you're classified as a TAM player, you use Gander bought down, is about $650 now, $650,000, and you've seen that quite a lot of these 30-year-olds or above are above that point, and so that concerns me a little bit because there's a strong imbalance right now. We have guys like Petkovic making $400K, guys like Toklamati, which he's earning his pay. We have a lot of these younger guys on bigger deals too, combined with guys who are over 30, 10 years older, and on a lot of money as well. So for me, I'm looking at this team and the future of the team, and I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, where are the guys in prime? Like where are these where are these healthy like maybe it could be like an MLS lifer who's who's 26 on a friendly deal. Where are these guys at? Because even someone like Williamson, who should be in that category, is like on 800K as well. Not more. He might even be closer to 900K. So I'm a little concerned with the sort of how the roster's being divided, the salaries caps being divided amongst the team. And even Zoran said this, I think, a year ago. He said the team needs to get younger. Yeah, Zoran said this, but this is a bridge we're gonna cross when we get there. because right now we're in playoff mode. But it's definitely something to keep an eye on going into the offseason.
I think it's also why, and Zoran and Dean, and I mean, really the whole kind of mantra around this team right now for this season and next year is winning now.
Yep.
Because these guys are veterans, and so and on decent sized deals. Upside is to having Ajimon being sold this summer is you get like $3 million in GAM for him, and then because Melanda's loaned back, I'm pretty sure they're going to get another $3 million for 2026. So those deals back to back give you flexibility with your roster buy down because you can essentially get two $3 million bonuses back to back for back to back seasons. I'm pretty sure that's how that. I'll have to verify the Melanda one, but I mean, if he's being loaned back, I'd imagine that transfer doesn't actually go through until 2026. So they're going to get another $3 million. It would be another bonus for that. So they should have, because of those transfers, a lot of roster flexibility. But at the same time, it also highlights, again, the win now mode that they are in. And it also, for me, is why didn't they make that extra move this summer? Like, if you're in win now with all these veteran guys, and then you bring in Bai Koulibaly as, like, the only midfield that you just promote up from Crown Legacy, it's like it seemed like if you're in win now mode, you see how the roster is being formulated right now. A lot of veteran guys on 10 deals plus. Seems like there was an opportunity to just push it over the line and get one or two more guys to really give yourself a solid chance at a deep run.
I think the reality is they were sort of handcuffed with Abada.
Yeah.
And in all these deals are buying down. I mean,
Yeah.
like these are guys are current season. I don't know if we're hit with that game immediately as soon as we sort Ajimang go into some window. I don't know if you can use that immediately or not. I'm not sure how that sort of gets spread out, or if that's something that's I don't know. I really but I do think our hands were tied and limited because of some of these unfriendly deals on these older guys and the younger ones.
Really, you think so? Because Bai Koulibaly is one of the U22s, right?
Yeah.
So unless there was something with his deal where he had to be called up this summer, they could have gone 3 DPs,
Yeah.
3 U22s.
Yeah, and
There's no reason
they went
why,
2-4.
and
Yeah.
they went 2-4, but they didn't have to go 2-4 until they brought Bai up.
Yeah.
And so that was where I was
Yeah.
always confused. Now, obviously, it gives you less negotiating power in the winter if you do that because
Yeah.
you have technically at that point 4 DPs
Yeah,
on the
with
roster.
Pep Biel,
With Pep
well, it
Biel,
looks like he's gonna
that's
be
what
a
I was
DB.
gonna go to say.
Yeah.
We don't know what Pep's deal is,
Yeah.
and I think they knew already what Pep's deal was going to be
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
So that's a really risky bet to try
Yeah.
and take. And to your point,
Is it worth it for an MLS Cup?
I mean,
But if they
potential
don't do it,
Yeah.
I think to your point though, like if we did have a U22 slot available,
Yeah.
why not go on an actual like top 21-year-old that's already sort of contributing and can
yeah,
make
but
an
they
impact.
spent what $2 million on Koulibaly too. So I mean,
Yeah.
I think
they
I
spent
think
on-
And another
I
6
think-
million on the guy behind him?
Yeah, so that's where I'm like, I think your point, Brian, gets proven even more when you're looking at like Dean's not even really using Koulibaly, you
Yeah.
know, and even like Petkovic didn't come into this game. Eric Williamson didn't come into this game, you know.
And did they have I don't know if they didn't use any of their like cut options either. Like you have an option to be able to cut a player straight up and just cut them.
Doumbia, didn't they?
Yeah,
Oh, that's right. They cut Doumbia. So
Yeah,
but you can do 2 now, I think.
Yeah, I think it's 2 now.
So I don't know if they've used both.
No,
But
just don't be that I'm aware of.
Yeah. So I mean, these are all just at this point it's a little bit of a speculation and it doesn't
yeah,
really matter. But
because
these are
you know
all
the
gonna be
league isn't transparent enough, so
Yeah.
we have to speculate.
Yeah. But I mean,
Another OG word.
These are all going to be things we kind of look back on after this season ends and how it all transpires. But I think these are definitely questions that are worth looking at going into the winter window. And then also just hopefully, I mean, if things don't go their way, valuable lessons learned to really make sure they have a good summer window next year.
Nice. Awesome. Let's answer a couple of fan questions that came in. I'm going to start off with something Lionel Jaramillo said. What positions outside of the obvious, and his obvious is center back, left wing, and center attack, do you think we need to improve?
Wait. Improve? He feels we need to improve center back, left wing? And he's saying those are the positions we're good at.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I was like, okay. I mean, I think midfield for sure. I feel like I've been hammering that button for a while now with a serious move. Just another 6, 8 dual.
Westwood's successor. That's
Westwood's
a big question
successor,
mark for me.
A high, and like a decent amount of money. Like I'm even willing to go DP, and I've kind of been there for a while now. I just think midfield has become such a valuable position in MLS. I feel like it used to be like you have like a classic 10 who kind of just dictates things from the top, but the midfield position across like from the 6, 8, and 10 positions in MLS is getting so much stronger that it really, you can see teams that don't have enough investment there really have a struggle with just controlling games, and I think that's been an issue for Charlotte a lot this year, being able to change tempo well, dictate how games are played. I just feel like they don't have that kind of control, and I think really putting some serious investment in that midfield and just giving them another option. Right now they don't even have an option.
Yeah.
It's Bronico, Gianni, and Westwood, and if one of those guys goes down, they don't even.
Yeah.
Like, Dean has nobody else to trust.
And
So-
they keep trying to bring somebody in, but they get it wrong. At least, I mean, they tried Urso,
Yeah.
doesn't stay. They've tried Williamson, it's not like,
Yeah.
you know, and
So
so.
Urso is still like a deal. I wish you would like an Urso type deal would have been handy in summer.
Right now.
like I would have
Yeah.
taken an Urso type player in the summer. Like
Yeah.
so quick.
Yeah.
Urso helped
That
them.
kind of moves.
Yeah.
Those are kind of moves that I'm down for.
Yeah,
Like,
but I think we were all in
short-term deals.
agreement that, you know, okay, Williamson could potentially do something, you know.
Right,
and
that
he
was the
just-
plan.
He didn't,
I mean,
you know.
I was excited about it, but it also I feel like I don't know. I don't know if Dean gives a lot of these guys a fair enough run. Like, do we feel like Williamson like had a fair enough run? Like, because I mean, he plays everyone to the last minute. Like he does not. He is notoriously does not sub.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
he
he
doesn't.
had it-
But then he had that opportunity in DC, you know?
against a 9-man defense.
Yeah.
And didn't really perform. I mean, you can't ask for a better
Yeah.
opportunity than that. For me, that would have been. I mean, and we talked about it before that show. That was a great opportunity for him to really show up.
Great opportunity for a lot of people to show up.
So I think I would.
Because no Westwood or Bronico.
Yeah. I feel like there's definitely some circumstances where Dean is probably not giving some guys the opportunity. But at the same time, I think you can push
Yeah.
back and be like, hey, well, he had this chance that came up. Maybe it wasn't Dean giving him the opportunity, but the opportunity presented itself in a really big way, in a really opportune way. And
That's
for him not to take it, it's like kind of, I would say Williamson is 50-50 for me. And I always felt like it was going to be, with him specifically, it's like one of those situations where you have a guy, high potential, high ceiling, had a really promising young career, but now has had, ACL surgery in both knees. And so it's like one of those situations where you're taking risks in spots where it's like, this could go one or two ways. You either really got an awesome value, or that other team was right and they just wanted to get him off their books. And so I think that's just another one of these situations where that was the kind of move I don't want them to make this one.
Yeah.
I want them to find a guy who's like, you're talking about those 25 to 28 DPs, like that guy who's like, oh, this is going to be a guy who could be a talisman, a key part of this team for years to come and really help build that next generation of this culture around. And I think that's what this team needs. This team doesn't need like that value purchase. This team needs that next, like just that third player that really helps take this team to the next level.
Yeah, and I also feel like Dean's the type of coach that in the day-to-day you can earn those minutes, eventually, right? I mean, like, when we signed Tim Ream, we were all expecting Privet to go straight to the bench, and he did, but then he came back, and forced,
Vargas too.
Yep,
Even
Vargas.
Ajiman.
Vargas was my next example, and then
Ajiman was
yep,
first.
and then Toklomati. He earned his starting role at Charlotte FC. So I mean, there's I feel like it's more on the player than it is on Dean, But to your point, he does like take forever to make subs.
Yeah.
I think this goes to more an off-season conversation, but then the question becomes, do we play Pep as a right winger and stick to the 4-3-3, a true 4-3-3, or do we go to a 4-2-3-1? Because then you're looking at completely different profiles, and is Vargas going to be around next season? So
yeah, there's a lot of question
there's
marks.
A lot. I think there's
sure.
a lot of. I think next season is definitely going to be a little bit of a mini transitional season. We have some key players, but we also have some dead weight as well.
Yeah.
So very curious to see how that goes.
For sure. Awesome. Next question: who has more pressure on them for Game 2, New York or Charlotte? I think
it's pretty even. If Charlotte had won Game 1, all the pressure's on New York in Game 2.
Yeah.
I think there's still decent pressure on Charlotte. I mean, obviously pressure on Charlotte because they're eliminated if they lose.
Yeah.
But I mean, if New York loses, like we said, we're pretty confident that Charlotte doesn't lose twice at home.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't feel like the pressure for New York is 0. I think it's actually pretty even. Like because New York has to win this game. They have to feel like this is. I feel like this is really must win for both. Even though New York has the advantage and they technically get 2 swings at it, that second swing is a huge disadvantage for them. You don't want to have to win in Charlotte twice. And so I would say it's pretty close to 50-50. It should have been 100-0.
Yes.
It should have been Charlotte no pressure in this game and New York 100. And so it still feels like, in some ways, that makes it feel like this is a pressure game for Charlotte. But now it's just more balanced.
Yep. Caleb?
Nah, that's pretty spot on. I agree.
Dang.
I do it.
Speechless.
No,
You left him
I
speechless,
do
bro.
agree. I think obviously. I mean, it would sound dumb to say that. Oh, it's not Charlotte when we get eliminated, but like New York did this big thing. And now they have this. Everyone talks about their advantage. Like, oh, the Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Like this is their baseball field. But I do think there's a lot of pressure on both sides. But honestly, on a full MLS scale, that no one cares about us right now. I'm gonna tell you that right now. Even though Charlotte finished 4th and New York finished 5th, no one has really. We could all consider underdogs or dark horses. Like that's kind of the perception around MLS right now. So really, on the global national pressure of the stage, no one really cares. I'm front.
And low key, they've proven them kind of right this first.
Right.
game.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, after the game ended, I was like, man, all those people talking smack about them not being in the top 10 just ate it a little bit on that. So,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
That's the
yeah.
reality.
I mean, I don't know if it's 50-50. I feel like slightly over to Charlotte because
We're Charlotte fans.
Yeah. Well, I just think. I mean, like if you don't if you don't win, if you don't find a way,
you're eliminated.
you're the upset,
out.
and you're the upset team. Like you were supposed to go through.
Yeah,
you had the
exactly.
advantage.
And so
60-40 is probably fair.
Yeah, and so to me, it's more slightly on Charlotte because New York, like awesome, like cool. You know, we still have to win to go through, but if we don't, we still get another swing. Even though, like you said, it's not advantageous to come back to Charlotte, but it's not do or die, and for Charlotte, it is do or die. I just say, like, listen, well, for Zaha, I needed you to go prime Babe Ruth on that field.
No, you have to do some sort of Red Sox reference because that's their A team. But I
really?
don't know baseball like that.
Yeah.
David Ortiz.
Yeah.
There you go. Full David Ortiz.
There you go.
There you go. The Giants play there too right now. Let's get into some score prediction, and then I'll start off with
real quick.
Uh-huh.
I have a bonus fun question.
Ooh, okay.
I want to ask the group: who was a bigger disappointment as a DP signing, Abada or Copetti?
Oh, I'm going Yazviet.
I was gonna say that, dude. Dang it.
Hey, we're on the same wavelength today.
I would say they're both club record signings too. So I would say Abada because you had the second year, and this. Imagine if
So did Copetti.
Yeah, but
But he's got a full second year.
But look at where the team is at right now, and if you had that third DP, where this team would be. Does that make sense?
That's just a disappointment in the team, though.
Well,
That's
no, but it's an individual. Like, so the team is in a good spot. If Abada wasn't as disappointing as he has been, this team would be pushing for Supporters Shield, top of the East, probably, right? If you had a third guy on this team that's got 20 goals,
I don't think scoring is our problem. I think our biggest issue was just crapping the bed and defending. We couldn't defend like we were last season because Kalina regressed and we were a bit exposed. I think if
but I agree with you. Like, it's just somebody like, okay, you got 3 players with 10+ goal contributions, adding another guy.
We have 2 guys who have 20+ goal contributions apiece.
Well, but so look at the LA Galaxy last year. They had, the amount of options they had available to them on their deep run and winning MLS Cup last year. I just feel like teams are having more and more options available. We're seeing Nashville, even though the amount of firepower they have, 2 guys doesn't seem like it's going to be enough against Miami. I just feel like having that third guy, especially in this game specifically, game 1, if Abada was in form and performing to the level that you should expect from a club record DP, you maybe can get past missing Zaha NBL in this situation. You have that third option. And again, I just feel like you make this super deep run. The regression from Kalina and the defense was predictable because of how good 2024 was specifically for Kalina. And I'm not a firm believer in Charlotte's defense because of how much volume they allow. They've allowed a decent amount of volume for 2 years.
Yeah.
The second most, I told Jorge this, it's like the second home out of any Western Conference team. It's like pretty high.
Yeah. If we're asking about those, I think it's Abada. Abada has more time, less pressure, because Enzo invited that pressure and didn't deliver. You know, Abada never invited that pressure. You know, I mean, now like people are like kind of going against, you know, like, okay, this guy isn't producing, but because it's a key moment now, you know. Enzo from the beginning with his personality and his mannerism invited that pressure, which, to be fair, Zaha has invited some of that, but he's delivered.
And I think the difference is also like Enzo Copetti leaves. It's like, and it just didn't work out, but like the team still progressed.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a clear progression that was missed because Abada hasn't panned out.
I actually think, for me personally, Enzo's the biggest disappointment.
Interesting.
The reason why is because we had talked about like needing a true nine since the start of this club. We were talking about we need a true nine, and this is a guy who actually fits the profile that I like. Is someone who's 25 to 28, just had a huge season in Argentina. I'm like, man, we were getting like the top goal scorer in Argentina. Like for me, it was like Jose Martinez. Like this, we found out Martinez here at Charlotte. And so, and you know, just his personality, he seemed hungry. It seemed like it would be a good compliment to Swiderski's game as well. It's like, man, Swiderski could be so much more productive. I think if he has a true nine to actually be a focal point, that he can kind of do more of his thing. And it for me, Enzo felt like the first like sort of bigger swing from us. Of like, this is a guy who he could have gone to a Boca or whatever. You know, allegedly there were rumors that he was going to go to one of these bigger clubs, Argentina, Brazil. And I'm also just a sucker for like true poachers and nines. I love those types of players. So for me, I actually thought that Enzo, and just physically, he just made a lot of sense in MLS. Like everything about him was like, this dude is built for MLS. Abada, with Abada's, it doesn't as big of a disappointment because players in the Scottish League who play on Celtic or the better teams play such inferior talent that those numbers don't mean anything to me.
Yeah, they don't, but I guess my counter would be like, you pull the guy from Celtic, you know, you pull the guy from like, you know, like one of the things that we talked about when we did sign Abada was that, like, you know, that was the advantage of, you know, having a different window than the European window. Like, this guy had very few choices. Like, you know, 6 months before, he could have gone to a team in the Prem. So it was like an opportune buy getting him. It's kind of like, wow, it feels like we're getting a bargain, but, you know, the Celtic front office is celebrating while we're here. Like, yo, this guy is probably worth even more, you know?
No, I think both have really strong.
For sure. But I like your take. I like your take. It's a really good take.
That's why I brought it up, because I thought they have like it's fair. You feel either way.
Nice. Sure. Awesome. Let's get into some score predictions. Mr. Caleb Adams, do we get eliminated in New York or do we force a game 3?
Nah, we taking it to game 3. We're going down swinging. We're going down swinging. My score prediction is going to be a little more cautious and conservative than my last one. I learned my lesson. I'm going to go 4-0 Charlotte FC. No, I'm playing. No, I think we're going to be able to actually shut down New York City in New York, and I think we're going to scrape together a 1-0 win.
Nice, a good old, that's Dean ball for you right there.
We're going to go in there, do a smash. We're going to do what they did to us. We're just going to go there, smash and grab. Zaha gets a goal, and we take it home.
I would love for Zaha to do that. Like, all is forgiven, Zaha. Like, force a game 3, bro. Brian?
Well, last time I went squeaky bum time with a 2-2 win in PKs. This time I'm going to go 1-1 win in PKs. a little bit more conservative with the goal scoring, but
that's exactly what I was
really
going to say.
Well, you took mine initially.
I took 2 of yours. Yeah, now I'm taking. I'm going with the same score. I think a 1-1, and then we take it in penalties, you know. Hopefully, you know, that stadium's empty as it typically is, you know. And so,
That'll make a fun trip to New York.
yeah, we'll be there. So we'll be providing coverage from there, you know. And so we'll be doing some content out there as well. Like, honestly, please win Charlotte, because last time we went to New York, New Jersey, you know, we made all this sacrifice to go, I think it was on a Wednesday, to go watch them against Red Bulls. And 10 minutes in, we're down 2-0. And I'm like, bruh. Like,
Anything but that.
yes, please. Like, I was like,
Anything but that.
12 minutes into that match, I was regretting being there. I was like, I should have just stayed home. I could have been at home watching this.
Especially not even like in Manhattan or like you're like in some random
Bro.
borough in New Jersey,
Yeah.
bro. It's a dump.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. With that said, Caleb, where can people find you?
Find me on Twitter, raging. It's Caleb Adams.
Nice. And Mr. Brian?
You can find me on X at Bam Bam Mauer Media. You can find all my written content, topbid90.com, collegesoccernews.com, everywhere and everywhere. We got so much content coming out. Keep it rolling.
Love it. Jorge Gonzalez, Top Bin 90 on all socials. Next Monday, we'll have another show. And hopefully, you know, knock on wood, we're forcing a game 3. Sorry, next Tuesday. Cisco's right. It's next Tuesday. And so with that said, guys, thank you for joining us. Over and out.